In the vast reaches of the galaxy, the Galactic Council was a shadowy force, controlling countless alien worlds with a firm grip. From their high-tech headquarters, they orchestrated the affairs of their expansive empire with cold precision. Their power was immense, and their secrets were well guarded. Few outside their ranks knew what lay hidden behind the Council's secure walls. One of the Council's most promising students, Xyla, was among those who found themselves disillusioned. Xyla was a young alien known for her sharp mind and curiosity. Unlike her peers, who were content to follow orders and remain ignorant of the Council's darker practices, Xyla had a growing sense of unease. She had always been taught to respect the Council's authority, but something about their secrecy didn't sit right with her. One evening, as Xyla worked late in the archives, she stumbled upon a hidden folder in the Council's data network. The folder was locked with the highest security measures, but Xyla's skills in hacking were unmatched. She bypassed the security protocols with ease, driven by a mix of curiosity and an unsettling feeling that something was terribly wrong. The folder's contents were shocking. It contained detailed schematics and classified reports about a fleet of warships, massive advanced ships that the Council had kept hidden from the rest of the galaxy. These warships were far superior to anything known to the public, equipped with weapons and technologies that could easily crush entire worlds. Xyla's heart raced as she realized the implications of what she had found. The Council had been preparing for a secret war, a war that could involve the destruction of countless innocent lives, including humans. Xyla knew that revealing this information could be dangerous, but she could not ignore the moral imperative. Humans, a species she had only recently learned about through her studies, were innocent in this grand scheme of interstellar politics. They had no idea about the threat looming over them, and Xyla felt a deep sense of responsibility to warn them. The decision to expose the Council's secret was not one she made lightly. She spent several days devising a plan to leak the information without getting caught. Every move had to be precise. She knew the Council's security would be watching for any irregularities, and even the slightest misstep could lead to her capture or worse. Xyla reached out to a small group of trusted allies, including a sympathetic technician and a few other students who had shown signs of questioning the Council's motives. She explained her plan to them, emphasizing the importance of their role in spreading the truth to humanity. Her allies were initially hesitant, but were soon convinced by the gravity of the situation. They agreed to help her, understanding that their actions could alter the course of history. With her plan in place, Xyla began the process of transferring the confidential data to a secure but untraceable channel. Each piece of information had to be carefully encoded and sent through multiple layers of encryption. It was a race against time, as she knew the Council would soon notice the breach in their system. As she worked, Xyla felt a mix of fear and determination. The stakes were high and the risks were immense, but she could not allow the Council's hidden agenda to continue unchecked. She imagined the shock and fear that would grip the humans once they learned the truth. But she also hoped they would be able to use this knowledge to protect themselves and confront the threat. By the time Xyla completed the transfer, she was exhausted but resolute. She had done everything in her power to ensure the information reached the right hands. Now, all she could do was wait and hope that her actions would lead to the exposure of the Galactic Council's secret and the protection of countless lives. The next few days were tense. Xyla watched as the Council's security forces became more vigilant, sensing that something was amiss. She stayed hidden, knowing that her life was in danger if the Council discovered her role in the leak. Despite the danger, she remained hopeful. She had taken a bold step toward revealing the truth, and now it was up to the humans to act on the information she had provided. In the quiet of her hiding place, Xyla could only wait and wonder how the galaxy would react to the revelation of the Galactic Council's hidden warships. As the secret information about the Galactic Council's hidden warships began to spread, Xyla knew she needed a solid plan to ensure it reached the humans. The stakes were incredibly high, and one wrong move could lead to disaster. The fate of countless lives was hanging in the balance. Xyla's first task was to find a secure way to transmit the data. The Galactic Council's security was among the most advanced in the galaxy, designed to detect and block any unauthorized leaks. Xyla's technical skills were top-notch, but she knew she needed more than just her abilities to outsmart the Council. She reached out to her trusted allies, Rax, a tech expert who had once shown sympathy for her concerns, Lyra, another student with access to high-level council communications, and Joran, a former security officer who had left the council after growing disillusioned. Each of them had unique skills and knowledge that would be crucial in executing her plan. In their secret meetings, Zyla and her allies discussed their strategy. They knew the Council's monitoring systems were sophisticated, capable of detecting even the slightest anomalies. Therefore, they needed to create multiple layers of deception to divert attention and cover their tracks. Phase 1. Diverting attention. Rax took on the task of creating fake security breaches within the Council's network. These were designed to look like serious issues, but were actually harmless and intended to mislead the Council's security teams. The goal was to make the real breach, the one involving Zyla's data leak, blend into a sea of false alarms. Meanwhile, Lyra used her access to manipulate internal communications, creating confusion among council members. She spread rumors of an internal threat, which helped to further divert attention away from Zyla's activities. Phase 2. Secure transmission. With the distractions in place, Zyla turned her focus to the actual data transmission. She set up a series of encrypted channels, each one designed to be a dead end if traced back. The data would be broken into smaller chunks and sent through these channels, making it nearly impossible for the Council to piece it all together. To further secure the transmission, Joran used his knowledge of the Council's security protocols to set up fake trails that led to dead ends. He was familiar with the patterns and methods the Council used to trace leaks and crafted misleading paths that would lead the Council's investigators in the wrong direction. Phase 3. Coordinated release. The final phase of the plan involved coordinating the release of the information to the human authorities. Zyla and her allies had identified several key human officials and media outlets who would be the best recipients for the information. They needed to ensure that the data reached these targets simultaneously to prevent the Council from stopping the spread of the truth. The team prepared a detailed dossier containing the most crucial pieces of information about the warships. This included blueprints, technical specifications, and evidence of the Council's plans. The dossier was carefully crafted to be as clear and impactful as possible, aiming to convey the threat effectively without overwhelming the recipients. Phase 4. Covering their tracks. After the data was sent, Zyla and her team focused on erasing any evidence of their activities. Rax worked on dismantling the fake security breaches, ensuring that there were no traces left of their deception. Lyra deleted any communication logs that could link them to the leak. Joran ensured that all physical and digital traces of their plan were thoroughly covered up. Zyla knew that even with all these precautions, there was still a risk. The Galactic Council was not known for its leniency, and if they discovered the leak, the consequences could be severe. But she believed in the importance of their mission. The information had to reach the humans, and they had to be ready for what was coming. As the days passed, Zyla and her allies watched anxiously for any signs of their plan's success. They hoped that the information would reach the right people and spark the necessary action to protect humanity from the Council's hidden warships. Each member of the team knew that their roles were crucial and that their bravery could change the course of interstellar history. In the quiet of their hiding places, they waited for the inevitable response, their hopes pinned on the impact of their daring plan. The moment of truth had arrived. Zyla and her allies watched with a mix of anxiety and anticipation as the data they had leaked about the Galactic Council's secret warships began to reach human hands. The files, meticulously prepared and carefully encrypted, were now in the possession of several key human officials and media outlets. The next steps were crucial, and Zyla knew they would determine the outcome of their daring plan. It began with a sudden burst of activity in human news channels and military command centers. Headlines flashed across screens, Galactic Council's secret warships exposed. The revelation was staggering. For years, humans had been unaware of the full extent of the Council's power, and now they were confronted with evidence of a hidden fleet capable of devastating their world. The initial reaction was one of shock and disbelief. Human leaders, accustomed to seeing the Council as a distant and somewhat abstract threat, were now faced with the reality of their enemy's true capabilities. The information included detailed blueprints and technical specifications of the warships, which made the threat all the more tangible and terrifying. In government offices, there was immediate chaos. Military generals, intelligence officers, and political leaders scrambled to assess the situation. Some were skeptical, questioning the authenticity of the data, while others were already preparing for potential scenarios of confrontation. The urgency of the situation quickly became apparent as officials realized the need to act swiftly and decisively. Across media outlets, news anchors reported the stunning discovery with a mixture of alarm and curiosity. Experts were brought in to analyze the data and discuss its implications. The public was gripped by the news, their fears and imaginations running wild as they processed the information. Social media buzzed with discussions and debates as people tried to understand the gravity of the situation and what it meant for their safety. As the news spread, Zyla and her allies monitored the reactions from their hidden locations. They knew that the Galactic Council would soon be aware of the leak and would be doing everything in its power to contain the damage. The Council's response was swift and ruthless. Agents were dispatched to track down the source of the leak and neutralize any threats. In the Council's headquarters, there was a flurry of activity. Council members, who had long been confident in their control over the galaxy, were now visibly shaken. The secret was out, and their hidden warships were exposed for all to see. They held an emergency meeting to address the breach, their discussions filled with anger and panic. The Council's once impeccable facade of control was beginning to crack. Despite the chaos, Zyla felt a sense of grim satisfaction. The information had done its job. It had reached the humans and had shaken the Galactic Council to its core. But her relief was tempered by the knowledge that the Council would not give up easily. They would be determined to recapture the information and punish those responsible for the leak. The humans, now aware of the hidden threat, began to take action. Emergency meetings were convened among world leaders and military officials. Plans were made to bolster defenses, develop counter-strategies, and prepare for any potential encounters with the Council's warships. There was a new sense of urgency in the air, as humanity faced the reality of a threat that had previously been only a distant possibility. As Zyla continued to watch from the shadows, she knew that the real battle was just beginning. The Council's retaliation was inevitable, and the humans' response would be crucial in determining the outcome. The delicate balance of power had shifted, and the galaxy was now on the brink of a new and dangerous phase. The situation was precarious. Humanity was now on high alert, facing a threat that had been hidden for too long. Zyla's hope was that the exposure of the Council's secrets would galvanize a united effort to confront the danger. The fallout from the revelation had set the stage for a new chapter in the conflict between humans and the Galactic Council, one that would test the resolve and resilience of both sides. As the days passed, Zyla watched from the shadows, her thoughts with the people she had sought to protect. The future was uncertain, but the determination of humanity to rise to the challenge was becoming increasingly clear. The stage was set for the next phase of this interstellar conflict, and Zyla hoped that her actions would lead to a stronger, more resilient humanity ready to face whatever came next. The tension between humanity and the Galactic Council reached a boiling point. The exposure of the Council's hidden warships had transformed the galactic landscape, creating a volatile environment where every action carried immense consequences. As the conflict unfolded, both sides prepared for the inevitable clash that would determine their future. Humanity's response had been swift and coordinated. World leaders, united by the gravity of the threat, put aside differences and focused on a common goal, ensuring their survival. Military forces were mobilized, new technologies were developed, and strategic alliances were formed. The atmosphere was one of cautious optimism, as people hoped that their preparations would be enough to counter the Council's formidable power. The Galactic Council, on the other hand, was in turmoil. The exposure of their secret warships had not only shocked them, but also damaged their carefully crafted image of invincibility. The Council's response was one of desperation. Their agents continued to hunt for Zyla and her allies, their efforts to track down the source of the leak relentless. The Council's leadership, once confident, was now plagued by doubt and paranoia. In the midst of this high-stakes environment, a decisive confrontation was brewing. The Galactic Council, unwilling to tolerate the threat to their supremacy, launched a massive offensive against human positions. The attack was brutal and overwhelming, a display of the Council's raw power and advanced weaponry. Human forces, despite their preparations, faced a daunting challenge as they engaged in fierce battles to defend their world. The key to the resolution lay in the preparations and strategies that humanity had put in place. Human military leaders, armed with the knowledge of the Council's warships, used their newly developed technology and tactics to mount a formidable defense. The battles were intense, with each side pushing their limits. The outcome of these engagements would determine the future of the conflict. Xyla and her allies, though still in hiding, continued to play a crucial role in the unfolding events. They provided vital intelligence to human forces, helping them understand and exploit the weaknesses in the Council's tactics. Their insider knowledge proved invaluable, allowing humanity to counter the Council's moves with greater precision. As the conflict raged, a turning point emerged. During a critical battle, human forces managed to capture one of the Council's warships. The capture was a significant victory, providing humanity with first-hand knowledge of the Council's technology and strategies. This breakthrough allowed human engineers to reverse-engineer some of the Council's advanced systems, giving them a crucial edge in the ongoing battles. With this new advantage, humanity launched a counteroffensive. The battles that followed were fierce, but the tide began to turn in favor of the humans. The Galactic Council's forces, once dominant, were now facing increasing resistance. The balance of power shifted as human forces used their newfound knowledge to exploit the weaknesses of their adversaries. The final confrontation was a dramatic and decisive clash. The Galactic Council, facing mounting pressure and significant losses, was forced to reevaluate their strategy. The once unassailable Council was now on the defensive, struggling to hold their ground as humanity pressed forward with renewed determination. In the aftermath of the final battle, the Galactic Council was forced to come to terms with their defeat. The conflict had taken a toll on both sides, but humanity had emerged as the victor. The Council, humbled and weakened, was forced to negotiate a ceasefire and acknowledge the new reality of their diminished power. For Xyla, the resolution was a bittersweet victory. Her actions had set in motion a series of events that had led to the exposure of the Council's secrets and the eventual triumph of humanity. Yet she knew that the consequences of the conflict would be felt for years to come. The galaxy had changed, and the balance of power had shifted. As the dust settled, humanity began the process of rebuilding and recovering. The experience had left a mark on both the human and alien worlds, and the lessons learned from the conflict would shape future interactions. Xyla, though still in hiding, felt a sense of accomplishment knowing that her efforts had made a difference. The resolution brought an end to a chapter of tension and conflict, but it also marked the beginning of a new era. The galaxy, now aware of the true nature of the Galactic Council, faced an uncertain future. Yet, the determination and resilience shown by humanity had proven that even the most formidable threats could be overcome with courage and unity.